gentlemen, boys and girls, it is Friday. It is May 14th. And if you're a follower of wrestling and you're a follower of this channel, you know it's time for the dads, not always, on wrestling. I am, of course, the West Coast Professor, Jeff Meacham. He is the Renegade, J.J. Williams. And you'll notice, and we're doing the RVD post for a Kane show. That makes no fucking sense, but okay, sure.
They were tag team.
Yeah, all right. Damn it. Okay, fine. So you'll notice red shirts, Hellfire and Brimstone behind us, and the fact that the subject of today's show debuted on Stat Boy's birthday, and not only his birthday, not just any birthday, his 20th birthday.
Back in 1997, the Bad Blood pay-per-view.
St. Louis,
same
baby.
Day that Brian Pillman passed.
Right? That's the scary part.
In Kane's debut.
Yeah.
And Stat Boy's birthday.
But today we're not here to talk about the dark side of the ring. Really, I mean, we are talking about the dark side, but not of the business. We're talking about the dark side as in Death Valley, as in the brother of the Phenom, the devil's favorite demon, the man who waltzed into the Keel Auditorium in St. Louis and ripped the damn cell door off of Hell in a Cell and made his brother go to fuckface. And if you know the fuckface, you're familiar with this channel, and we love you. You're cool people. So it's Kane, man. I mean, Kane. When you think about it, Kane was originally, and we've heard Bruce Pritchard talk about this, and we've heard Undertaker talk about this. Kane was supposed to be a one and done, another monster to feed to the Undertaker. And man, can you argue with the things that both Glenn and Mark and Percy even said at one point, that it is the single greatest story the WWE has ever told?
Yeah. I mean, there have definitely been hiccups along the way in Kane's story.
Yes.
Listen to you, Katie Vick. But for the majority of his story from October 5th, 1997, all the way up until his induction in the Hall of Fame this year.
Yes.
Considering he was supposed to be, for lack of a better term, a throwaway character.
Right.
It's a hell of a career.
Yeah, when you headline the Hall of Fame, you're not a throwaway character. You're just not. Kane definitely deserves a Hall of Fame induction, if for no other reason than he had to be a dentist and a bogus diesel before he became Kane. Just here, dude, we're sorry. Here's your ring, brother. Like, good Lord. Yeah. Our bad, dude. Sorry. Wow. Oh. Like I said on a previous show, Isaac Yankum's music what made me wish for RTC's music. Like, yeah. Jesus. Oh. So, for this episode, we're not doing the best of Glenn Jacobs, because anything before 97 is
questionable at best.
Right, yeah. So we are doing October 5th, as you said, 97, Mikey's birthday, to Hall of Fame induction. The greatest matches from those 24 years. So with that being said, it is a wrestling show. So Renegade, take it away.
All right. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put this disclaimer out there. You know, as you know, we always say on this show, our opinions, our views are always subjective. For my list, I'm not just going for the quality of match,
right,
but also storytelling. Whether it's the promos and the build to the match, or the repercussions and the fallout of the match. But I'm looking at overall storytelling centering around these matches as well. And at least as far as what I can remember around that, because every one of these matches I have seen, but some of these matches I haven't seen for years. And with Peacock being what it is right now, it's not like I can just go in and really try to do the due diligence and the research that Glenn Jacobs, Kane is deserving of, nor do my archives back over here, hidden behind my superhero movies, have the extent and everything that the old network had to be able to do quality research. So try to keep that in mind, though, as I discuss these matches. Okay?
Yes. Absolutely, sir.
Number 10 on my list to kick it off is just a fun personal favorite of mine, considering the people that are involved. Kane teaming up with CM Punk to take on The Miz and John Morrison from Judgment Day. Kane at the time, ECW champion, Punk with the briefcase, Miz and Morrison with the tag titles. Like, there is so much ego in this picture just glaring at me.
There's so much what the hell in this picture. Like, first of all, why is Punk, as the Money in the Bank holder, teaming up with a world champion? Like, is he going to bash him in the head after the match and cash in? That's what I would have done.
You know, you never know, do you?
Just saying. So.
You know, Punk very much was a dirty player when it came to that briefcase, man. He could rival Edge for the ultimate opportunist or Flair for the dirtiest player in the game. He knew how to pick his moments.
Yep.
But you look at the arrogance and the cockiness exuding out of the Miz and Morrison, even behind those sunglasses.
Especially
you can just
Miz,
feel him peering into your soul. And then you look at the smug look on Kane's face. Like, why in the F do I have to team with this guy against these two jackoffs?
Why am I in this match? What the hell's going on? What am I doing here?
But the Miz and Morrison have proved time and time again that they are a force to be reckoned with, whether they are singles or a team. Punk is Punk.
Yep.
And Kane, the veteran leader in all of this, you know, this was just a really fun match. And I don't feel like it gets the credit it deserves for any of their careers.
No. It's funny you mentioned Edge in the process of comparing to Punk. It was after this show the following month that Punk cashed in on World Champion Edge. There you go.
Number 9 on my list. I know some people give a lot of hell to this person this day and age because of who it is. But you know what? Coming off of the heels of the 2 triple threat matches at Mania and Backlash respectively, Chris Benoit defending his World Heavyweight Championship against Kane at Bad Blood 04. The Big Red Monster was the perfect foil to feed Benoit. Having come off of those 2, like I said, those 2 triple threat matches, and we still had a couple months before Randy Orton would walk into the ring with those peach tights and find the World Heavyweight Championship laying in the middle of the ring.
Oh my God. Dude, that was the first Randy Orton figure I ever had, was those peach tights. It's like, Jesus Christ.
You know, we want to talk about revisionist history. There you go. Randy Orton walked into the ring in those peach tights, found the belt in the middle of the ring, grabbed it, started hitting poses on the turnbuckle, and there it was.
That's it.
And the rate Peacock's going, that's about the way the match will be represented here in the future.
Right.
But Kane is such a solid worker. And again, that's something that he doesn't get a lot of credit for. Like, he's not going to be the technical prowess of a Benoit or a Regal. But he went in there and he held his own with the Canadian Crippler.
Yep.
And it was such a good match. You knew that he probably wasn't going to walk out with the strap because it was Benoit's moment.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You know, we've heard of the summer of Punk. This was the spring of Benoit.
Yep.
Considering that he lost the belt in the height of summer.
Yeah.
Number 8 on my list is definitely one that makes the list because of story. The Brothers of Destruction versus the New Jersey Triad.
Hang on,
even though they weren't called that in WWF, DDP and Kanyon from SummerSlam.
Whew.
DDP and Kanyon, who were such a great team in WCW, as I said, the New Jersey Triad.
Bammer, yep.
Along with Bam Bam Bigelow, yeah.
Yep.
You know, here you've got them as the WWF Tag Champions and Kanyon as the US Champion.
Yeah.
You got the BOD with the WCW tag straps, which that in of itself, it's like, switch those belts. Put the WWF belts on Kane and Taker and put the WCW belts on DDP and Kanyon.
What's so funny is I was at the SmackDown where both those title changes went down. It was at Staples. I was 4th row on the ramp.
But I mean, the story behind the match, you know, is definitely more than the match, because this was the whole DDP stalking Sarah to get to Taker, and Kane getting involved to help his brother, you know, and Kanyon being DDP's best friend and getting involved to help him. Plus, you had the whole alliance thing going, which, you know, the alliance was what it was.
Yeah, pretty much.
You know, I may be in the minority, but I still look back fondly on the alliance storyline. Yes, it could have been done a lot better. We won't argue at what it is, but for what they had, the alliance storyline wasn't as bad as people make it out to be.
No, not at all.
You know, but like I said, that one is more story than anything, but I had to get some BOD representation on here. And that was the one that I was really drawn to talk about, because again, the match itself may not have been the best, but the storytelling around it, I feel, is something that, aside from the Sarah part of it, gets lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, like you said, the whole build, like it literally built on one SmackDown, like 10 days before the show. It was like, oh, okay, we're having a tag time. Oh, it's in the cage. Cool. Okay. Huh? Weird.
Number 7 on my list is on my list more so for the pre-match promos than the match itself.
Yes.
Because this was one of the first times we really, really got to see a comedic side of Kane. Kane, The Rock, and Hollywood Hogan versus the New World Order. Hall, Nash, and Pac.
The original Wolfpack.
You know, the WWE NWO being what it was.
Yep.
You know, and we will be getting into that in a couple of months when we discuss our NWO moments, because I'm sure at least one of us will touch on the WWE NWO.
Oh, I'm sure.
But the fact that once Hogan turned babyface following Mania, you still had those 3 originals to try to run with it for a minute against arguably the 2 greatest talkers ever in the business.
Yeah.
And then where did that leave Kane, man?
Right?
Kane didn't need to say a word during that promo, because Rocky and Hogan could do it all. But Glenn grabbed his cojones, the microphone, and he delivered some of the funniest stuff I had ever seen come out of the mouth of Kane. Ever at that point.
Yeah.
To the point where even Rocky is like, what the F just happened, brother?
Right? Yeah. If you get Dwayne tongue-tied in a promo, you're doing something right, because he don't miss a step too often. So yeah, to make Dwayne misstep or stutter step, it's like, ooh, we got something here. I dig it.
Yeah. Number 6 on my list.
Oh boy.
Number 6 on my list is something that I know is a favorite of yours.
Oh yeah.
Because it set up what would be one of Kane's last great tag partners.
Yes.
SummerSlam 2012 against Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, baby.
And again, much like I said regarding Benoit, Kane is not a technical wrestler. He never has been. But he got in there and he told a hell of a story and had a hell of a match with Bryan. And the chemistry was so good that, not counting Taker, I would say Bryan became his second best tag team partner.
Wow.
And that could be a bold statement when you think about Kane's history with partners. But the stuff that they did with Team Hell No really brought out a side of Kane that I hadn't seen really on a consistent basis since that promo against the NWO.
Okay.
You know, his teaming with Rob and X-Pac and Foley notwithstanding, it was a match made in heaven between these two because they were such a great odd couple. But they worked. And they worked beautifully.
Match made in heaven, SummerSlam. I understand that reference. Oh, yeah. Okay.
I'm willing to die on that hill, man. That's just one man's opinion. But again, subjective.
For what it's worth, when you get to my side of this conversation, both Bryan and X-Pac make the list at some point or another. So there you go.
Number 5 on the list. And I know it surprised Jeff that it was so low on my list, the way I discussed it to him off camera.
Yes.
But it was quite possibly, during the initial Taker feud, my favorite match between the two. And when you think about their Mania matches and everything else they've been through over the years, I kind of feel like this one gets slept on in the long run. And so I had to bring it up. The very first ever Inferno match from Unforgiven in your house.
Yes.
Not just Unforgiven. Not WrestleMania Backlash.
Christ. Yes, it's this Sunday. Yes, we're doing a watch along. God help me.
Unforgiven in your house. Like, dude, I miss the old in your house pay-per-views.
Hell yeah, dude, for real.
They had some really great matches that get slept on in the grand scheme of things because they weren't one of the big 4 or big 5.
Right.
But Taker versus Kane. You almost knew going in that Kane was going to lose. But there was so much drama behind it because he had just lost at Mania.
Yep.
Is he going to get his comeuppance here? Is he going to get his revenge?
Right.
He didn't, but it was such a great match, such great storytelling.
And, you know, I think this match should get credibility and notoriety strictly for the match graphic here because Percy's face is legendary. I'm just going to throw that out there. Jesus Christ, Paul. What the hell?
I found 2 graphics for this image when I was doing my search. I found this, and I found one that, when I looked closer, was a video game image.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, no, we have to go with the legitimate pay-per-view one.
Dude, I remember seeing that graphic come down during the pay-per-view, and like when it was getting ready to start the match, I'm like, oh shit, it's on, here we go. So somebody's gonna get caught on. And what's funny is that wasn't the main event. They went home with Austin and Dude Love. It's like, okay. Like, I know he's
Austin
a champion,
was the man.
I realize that, but like something got set on fire. Like
But dude, really? Really? Dude? Come on, Foley.
I mean, like, I get the Cactus was butthurt about the Austin chance, but why? Huh? Yeah.
Like, I get that Dude Love goes back to his, pre-wrestling days, his backyard days, if you will.
Right.
But Dude Love was never a high point in the career of Foley.
The thing with 1998 Dude Love, that wasn't the feud. It was the Austin McMahon feud. Dude was just Dude was very much the Bobby Lashley or Umaga. Like he was the heavy. Like Vince was the guy. So, Speaking of Austin.
Yeah. Number 4 comes from just a couple months later. The King of the Ring 98 against Stone Cold Steve Austin. And once again, there's Percy's face. I swear they just used the same image for Percy.
Well, because I'm trying to see, it's literally the exact same image. So, like, okay, so here's my thing. When they're doing this photo shoot backstage, what's the coaching situation here? Like, Bill, we want you to look as stupid as possible for the next 6 months. So do this. Anyway, I'm totally getting off your topic. I'm sorry, but
no, it's okay because
I can't not see the laugh now.
That facial expression is gold. But King of the Ring 98, what's sad is it's not remembered for Kane winning his first championship.
No.
It's remembered for the Hell in a Cell.
Yes.
Which was the semi-main, which had only ended, 15 minutes or so before both men who should have been dead or in a hospital hobbled their asses down to the ring to get involved in this too.
Dude, Taker wasn't even in his gimmick. He was in a freaking sweatshirt and pants. Like, what the shit?
And Foley, how Foley was able to get down there after everything he did without using, a mobile scooter or something. Right? It's like, kudos to you, Mick, for making sure that you were not going to miss your spot in this match. That's the consummate professional right there. And I know the title run only lasted for 24 hours because he lost it back to Austin the next day.
Right.
But that's secondary.
Yes.
Behind the fact that less than a year in, Kane won his first title and the story behind the match, because it was all about the setup to screw Austin.
Right.
Which then carried out over the next few months.
Yep. And when you think about that, this night led to the revelation of the brothers being together for the first time, and Paul losing his control over his son, and Mick being cast aside and turned babyface almost by default by getting a sledgehammer drove through his freaking face in the garden at SummerSlam, off camera because he was in the dumpster, but you couldn't see it. But the implication was there. And dude, this match and the Hell in a Cell match are very interwoven together, and the storyline that carried out, when you really think about where it led to both The Rock's and Mick Foley's first world title runs.
Yep.
Because Austin needed a break. TV needed an Austin break. He was so part of every damn thing in the company. It was almost like oversaturation, overkill. Mm-hmm. And he was beat up, and Taker was beat up, and Kane, the shine was starting to come off Kane a little bit, and it was way too soon for that to be happening. So they had to get the title away from that trio. So Foley and Dwayne had a 6-month run together. Off they went.
There you go. Number 3 on my list is another, just forget about the match itself because the match is secondary.
Well,
the fact that Kane was able to successfully defend the tag team titles by himself within the confines of the stipulation. TLC 4, one of the other forgotten TLCs, was supposed to be Kane and the Hurricane versus Bubba and Spike versus Christian and Jericho versus RVD and Jeff Hardy. But Hurricane had gotten taken out backstage prior to the match, and Kane went in there, man, like the beast that he is, and successfully defended the titles against 3 legendary TLC participants and their makeshift partners due to the fact that their original partners were all over on SmackDown as a result of the draft.
I was going to say, can we stop for a minute and talk about these makeshift tag teams for a second here? Granted, Jericho and Christian stayed together for a while and actually became champions not too long after this.
And Bubba and Spike are still, part of the Dudley Boys.
Right.
Granted, it's not Devon, but, Spike is still a Dudley.
Yeah.
But, this side of, RVD and Matt Riddle, you got like the next closest flying high team that there could have been at the moment. RVD and Hardy, like Jesus.
Knowing about it's funny. What's one of the saddest things about Rob not being full time anymore, having to deal with the concussion and whatnot, is that they put Riddle with Randy Orton instead. Poor Randy is saddled with this dipshit.
RK Bro.
Don't you dare put the start. Dude, I'm waiting for Randy to just go, fuck this. RKO his ass, just be done with it. Like,
it'll probably lead to like a SummerSlam match or something. It's gonna be one of those things that are gonna, kind of ride its course for a little bit until Randy, has his fill of it, and then he will drop him like a bad habit, punt the crap out of his head, and then go to the big pay-per-view match, which, like I said, will probably be SummerSlam,
And if Riddle goes over, I'm okay with it because it built, and I'm fine with it. And him, saying you're going to punt Riddle silly is kind of a freaking redundant statement at this point. But
maybe he'll punt some sense into him.
Right? Seriously. So I just wasn't okay with Matt's attitude coming in, and as a fan, I should know. What do you know? Shut up! I do know. So hopefully it works out that's the way. But yeah, RVD and Jeff Hardy, it's like when you think about their history alone, the year before this, they're waging war over the hardcore title for 3 months. Just a weird, yeah. If TLC 3 is the forgotten, TLC 4 is the what the fuck. Because you got Kane by himself, you got the wrong Dudley pair, you got the freaking makeshift Canadian team that somehow became champions after this, and then you've got RVD and Jeff Hardy together. It's a TLC. So. Maybe
Randy Orton will punt Riddle so hard that he'll turn him from Ted Theodore Logan into John Wick.
I understood that reference. And if you don't understand that reference, you didn't watch Renegade in May, get the hell out of it.
You need to go back to April and go back to my trilogies.
Because they're both on the damn trilogies month.
Number 2 on my list.
Yes.
Is another one that I just feel is so good, so monumental. Building off the story. And I was there the night that Kane tombstoned Linda McMahon.
I think I was too, actually. Wow.
I was there that night, and this match was a direct result of that. Shane versus Kane, last man standing. People say what they want to say about Shane McMahon.
Not on this channel. We love Shane on this channel.
No, I know you guys do. I know your other co-host is a huge Shane McMahon fanatic.
Yeah, but
for sure. At the end of the day, for still not being a in the traditional sense,
Right.
professionally trained wrestler, for being the son of the owner.
Right.
You know, two things right there that are already usually looked down upon by the people in the back, because if you're the son of the promoter, you're going to get a push that sometimes you don't really deserve.
Right.
I'm looking at you, Greg Gagne.
You said it, not me. I didn't say anything. I'm a good boy.
Hey, the fact that I pulled that name out of my ass should impress most of our viewers right there.
Definitely me, I'll tell you what. Shit.
But, you know, I mean, the son of the promoter a lot of times gets a push that he doesn't deserve. And sometimes it's a push that he does deserve, i.e., Brett in Stampede.
Oh, yeah.
But Shane McMahon is an entertainer first and foremost.
Yep. Absolutely.
And every single match that he has had, even the ones that you would rank down towards the bottom of the list, if nothing else, are entertaining. And Kane just returned to the darkness.
Oh, man. So good.
You know, he had lost his mask. He was just a vile, despicable creature again, because the Tin Man had grown a heart over the years.
Aww.
You know, starting with being humanized by X-Pac. Kane had developed a heart and a soul, and losing that mask sent him back to the Dillygath place that the monster needed to be.
Nice.
That's a Shannon Moore reference.
If you don't get that, you're forgiven. It's okay.
If you don't get that, then you haven't watched TNA, and judging by the ratings, most of you haven't anyway. So you know.
Damn shit. Kicking the horse while it's already glue, man. Jesus Christ. Anyway.
But Shane Kane, man, I can't say enough good things about this match.
Definitely.
I would say it's definitely top 5 in my Shane matches as well.
Yeah, when you think about that, they had a good lengthy run. This wasn't the last match they had on pay-per-view that year.
No, I believe it was the first.
Yeah, because they had
the first match they had on pay-per-view was Last Man Standing. Think about that for a moment. That's how intense the feud was from Jump Street.
Right. Yeah, and they can only top it by having an ambulance match at Survivor Series. There you go. All right. Drum roll.
Speaking of losing the mask.
What's that? Oh.
Speaking of losing the mask.
Yes.
Number 1 from Raw 2003 against Triple H. Title versus mask.
In the Garden. Let's not forget that.
And when you look at that picture of Kane right there, that looks like, you know, it's going to be on the cover of like a boy band CD or something. That looks like a modern day Phantom of the Opera, you know, the hot guy who just wears the half.
Oh, God. Here we go with the Weber hate. Here we go. Oh, boy.
But, well, I mean, it's a pretty good analogy when you figure that Kane was supposed to be this dark, deformed, burned individual. And by the time we got to this mask where he took it off and had that horrid patchy haircut, that, you know, then he went ahead and bicked and was completely bald the following week.
There you go.
But you look at this image and it looks like the hot guy in the half mask.
Yeah.
As opposed to what we all thought Kane looked like when we first met him. Yeah. Any one of those masks looks better than the mask in the image against Hunter.
Right?
I'm just saying.
I know.
Looking at that mask, you knew he was going to lose it.
Right.
But it didn't take away from the intensity of the match. The fact that, like you said before we came on the air, Kane was fighting for his livelihood. Everything that defined Kane was within that mask.
Yep.
Very much Samson in his ponytail. And the minute he lost it, you didn't know where he was going to go.
Yeah.
And when he lost his mask, he lost his mind.
I was going to say, the mask was Glenn's final, shelter from the harshness of the world. And if you have a chance to get your hands on a copy of, I forget the novel name, but it's basically Kane's life story fictionalized in a WWE novel. Like they talk about how the origins of the mask or whatever. Yeah, the mask was because they call him Glenn Calloway because he's Undertaker's brother. So whatever. The mask was his last defense against the evil outside world, and you can see it happen in the match. He's totally babyface. He's doing the babyface everything. He's dejected after the match. He's sad. Rob's in the ring with him because that was his partner at the time, and Rob's just trying to get him to console him or whatever. He pulls the mask off. His head's down. He's hanging his head in shame. He whips up, looks to the side, and he's got this look like, I'm done being nice guy. He grabs Rob, choke slams into hell, does the big pyro gimmick with his hands, and that's the last time for a long time we would see Skip to Maloo Kane.
Yeah.
Like, he was on at that point, like Donkey Kong.
Very much so.
And I love that you picked that match because of that, because it was very much a pivot after 6 years of something before. It was very the road of those 6 years was very, as you said at the beginning of the show, all over the place. But if you think about it, from that moment on, up until, I dare say, post-Cena feud in 2011-2012, Kane did not deviate back from the darkest of the dark side. So, and honestly, and I say this and I mean it, him losing the mask led to the burial of the Underbiker. Thank you, God. Led to that unbelievable moment at WrestleMania 20 with him and Undertaker. And Paul, of course, was there too. Led to him being a credible threat to the world titles again, because he was ECW champion and he became world champion after that too. And as I'll get to later, this Kane was the Kane that finally achieved his goal. And we'll get there momentarily because...
Yes. So there we go. There is my list.
Very well done.
With
Love
quite a few jump-ins there from the West Coast professor. But, it's to be expected because he's got such knowledge on the topic.
And his wrestling show.
So, keeping that in mind, as if you haven't heard Jeff talk enough, we're now going to throw it over to the West Coast professor, Jeff Meacham, for him to take it away and give us his list.
Full disclosure, I love that you put up with my shit on this show because I talk so damn much during your stuff, and I really don't mean to. So.
It's all good because I know, I've kind of been going back and looking at some of our old videos.
Right.
And there was a lot of complaints about how I would step on you in some of those older videos. I think probably because I was so young and naive to the business and, getting my feet wet, if you will, sitting alongside the great and powerful Jeff Meacham, that, I wanted to try to get my thoughts in, my 2 cents, Brian Cage, get your shit in. I ended up starting to talk over you, so it is what it is, baby.
I also, we definitely tend to compliment each other, especially on the non-wrestling weeks, because you are so much more movie music guy, and I kind of sit there and just kind of, I don't know what I'm talking about, monotone, and you pick up the pieces for me. So it's definitely a good balance on the alternating weeks. So I do appreciate your putting up my shit.
That's right. We are what Anakin Skywalker was supposed to be. We bring balance to the Force.
Well, and there are weeks where we leave it in darkness, and that's okay.
You balance it out on the wrestling weeks, and I balance it out on the non-wrestling weeks.
There you go. I love it. So, in line with your SummerSlam choice with him and Bryan, my number 10 is the month after. The end of what had been a decent run for the tag team champions at the time, and what started the longest reign of any WWE tag team champions for many, many years prior, and wouldn't get eclipsed until the opponent in this match hooked up with another couple of guys. Team Hell No versus Kofi Kingston and R-Truth, Night of Champions 2012.
Wait a minute, Uncle Jeff. You mean at some point in WWE, R-Truth held a legitimate championship and was taken seriously?
Well, yeah, he was U.S. champion too, believe it or not. True story.
What?
And wait, shh. Don't tell Vince. Shh, don't tell Vince. He was a 2-time NWA World Champion. Shh.
OMG.
He's a good wrestler. Fucking better Vince. You fuck. Anyway, yeah.
So now that we've done our Vince McMahon burial for the show,
Honestly, anytime I get Ron on my channel on USA Network, I'm okay because I love seeing Truth. And yeah, he's a good wrestler. He's a former tag champion here, but he's at his best right now. He's so committed. He always has been a comedic guy and got a great sense of timing and wit. So good for him. He's found his niche on the 24/7 stuff. But here he's with Kofi Kingston, another, it's funny. Kofi's a legend at this point. He's been around so damn long. He's a legendary athlete in WWE. And he and Truth were a great tag team. But, man, Team Hell No could not be stopped. And I absolutely love that they were a team for as long as they were champions until the following summer. And it was the Shield that had to bring them down. That's how dominant they were. The Shield were the ones that took the titles away from them. So amazing stuff. And when you think about how quickly the tide turned when Bryan became the protagonist for the Authority and Kane became the director of operations, and how vicious it got the following year, man, it's crazy to think how quickly that roller coaster went in those 2 years with Kane and Bryan. Just nuts. But this match here is so good, and it's the start of I'm the tag team champion. I'm the tag team champion. Just comedic gold. Number 9 is the match I brought up earlier. This is 2010 bragging rights. So by this point, Kane has won Money in the Bank, which we'll get to later. He has cashed in on Little Ray Ray and became the world champion to honor his brother, because his brother was found in a vegetative state over Memorial Day weekend. And Kane was fighting for the honor of his brother and avenging his brother's attack. And Kane was convinced that Rey Mysterio was the one that attacked his brother and left him that way. And then we get to SummerSlam, and they have their match in front of you, me, and God, and everybody. And The Undertaker appears out of the casket and backs Rey into the corner with a choke and lets the world know it was Kane all along. And off to the races we went again with the Battle of the BODs. And they had a match at Night of Champions, and Kane dominated The Undertaker, which he had never done, even at WrestleMania 14. Kane just took his brother to school. Kane, was so dominant that The Undertaker reached out into the netherworld of the dark side and brought Paul Bearer back from the beyond. And at Hell in a Cell, they went into battle again. And Paul, because it's Paul, turned on The Undertaker again and sided with his son. And then the following week on SmackDown, Paul went out there and laid it down. Once and for all, the battle of the brothers. The loser would be buried alive. And if you think about it, Kane with the help from Nexus, I'll grant you, defeated his brother in this feud definitively. Kane was the dominant brother for the first and only time in their battles. Kane won this feud flat out in 2010. He whooped that Taker ass all over the country. And for me, that match gets the spot on the list because he finally did what he sought out to do in 1998, what he tried to do in 2003, and it backfired on his ass. And he finally got it done because when Undertaker came back, he didn't go after his brother. He didn't have a chance to say a word before Triple H came out and went, I got you this time. So without even really having to do a whole lot afterwards, Kane silenced his brother for the first time. Big moment for Kane. Now,
definitely.
Match, the feud with Edge, with Paul Bearer getting killed once a week like Kenny on South Park. Yeah, okay, that was some stupid shit. I'm not gonna lie, but everything up to this, gold, beautiful stuff.
Oh my God, they killed Percy again.
Yeah. And then the greatest part is when Kane's feuding with Randy Orton a year and a half later. You know, Randy's torturing Paul Bearer, and Kane, decides to save Paul from his own damn self, puts it back in the freezer. It's like, can we please stop the patricide on this show? That'd be really super. Thanks. Anyway, and when you think about what happened a few months later, it's like, the irony's a bitch. Anyway, love you, Purse. Number 8 is one of those ones that kind of crept up on me as I was doing these choices of mine, and it came down to this one or the one the month before, and I ended up choosing this one because this is a Kane shining moment as opposed to the previous match. So going into WrestleMania 17, Triple H is the cock of the walk. He's beating everybody. Taker walks out and goes, no, not quite. Kane wins the hardcore title at WrestleMania. So they're on separate trajectories at this point. And then the end of the night comes. Steve Austin shakes hands with Vince McMahon in the middle of the Astrodome, and everybody's going, what just happened? And then they get to Raw the next night, and Triple H aligns with Austin, and everybody's really going, what just happened? And there is no force in the WWF that can stop the two-man power trip. They win the WWF title and the Intercontinental title. And then Kane and Undertaker go, hold my beers. Or actually, hold my Jack Daniels. Let's be clear on that.
No.
If we're going to be real on this show like we always are, we got, hold my Jack for a minute. They win the tag titles. So Vince, naturally, books a tag team title match for his two-man power trip. But see, the thing about that with Vince is he allowed his wife to get one up on him by the whole divorce sanitarium thing. So Linda went, okay, you can do that, but you're going to have a match at Backlash is going to be also for the Intercontinental title and the WWF title that you guys held, which of course just made Triple H and Austin just skip to my freaking Lou the whole way down the ramp. But they win. The two-man power trip, hold all the gold. So going into Judgment Day, Vince goes, all right, damn it. I'm Vince McMahon. I'm going to get it my way. Austin, you take out The Undertaker. Hunter, you take out Kane. Oh, and your titles are on the line too. So, because they had lost tag titles by then because they were tag team champions. So Kane gets a shot at Triple H at Judgment Day in a chain match. And you go, it was one of the rare times that Kane, you'll notice his arm is in a cast there. The two-man power trip had broken Kane's arm during the course of the Backlash to Judgment Day run. Kane looked so dominant in this match, or dominated, I should say. Dominated. Kane was so beat down in this match. He still walked out the Intercontinental Champion. It was the first time he had been Intercontinental Champion. One of only, I think, 2 times he held the title, if I remember right. So, and when you think about who ended his second IC run, Triple H. So, I love the story post WrestleMania that year with the BOD and the two-man power trip. Just a great spring. Great stuff. And this match is definitely, I picked this one over the tag title match because Kane wins this one. So,
yeah. The two-man power trip is very underrated in the grand scheme of things.
Oh, my God.
And, you know, just looking at that image with Stephanie there, it's like, that's the Stephanie that I loved.
Right?
Like, from her debut on the show, and that, like, I loved that Stephanie.
Mm-hmm.
I can understand why Hunter upgraded, if you will.
Well, yeah.
I know she's your girl, but let's be real. That was an upgrade.
And thing with Stephanie is she is very much being a typical woman. She's aging like a fine wine, man. She still looks damn good. Like, granted, you know, money talks with stuff like that, but even still, man, just whew. Number 7 was your number 2, so that shows how far off we are as far as rating Kane's awesomeness. But I mean, this match at Unforgiven, again, you know, people sleep on Shane, and they shouldn't. You know, it's funny. We're doing our Worst Champions show in September. Surprisingly enough, Shane is not on the list as European champion. And I found myself surprised at that not being on the list. But when you think about it, Shane, when he had to pony up, he didn't falter very often. The old man, he'll be on my list, but not for the title back then. I think you figure out where he's going to be on the list and why. But this match with Kane, this feud with Kane, with Shane McMahon, was just something where Shane was very much like a cockroach at this point of his run. Every time you think he's swatted away and thrown in the trash can, here he comes bouncing back with more rage than he had before. I mean, think he was the head of the alliance. He leaves voluntarily. We don't see him like at all in 2002. And then he came back around No Way Out because they were threatening Bischoff's job with the Stone Cold thing. So we saw him kind of pop in and out here and there. And then he was gone again. And like you said, man, when Kane tombstone Linda in front of you, me, and God and Country, it was like, whoop, shit's on now. Because you mess with Shane's mama. I will say, and at the time, the visual is funny, and it's even funny now when you think about it, but it's more funny, like stupid funny now than it was like funny and important to the story then. The whole testicle thing with the shocks, like the car shocks, like, dude, no. Jumper cables, thank you. Yeah, that was, looking back, it's like, oh, that's stupid. But when you're in the moment, you're like, oh my God, he freaking shocked his balls. Like, what the hell? Like,
you sick bastard.
Right? Oh, it's just it was barbaric. It was like really bad. Number 6 for me was number 4 for you.
Okay.
The championship win at King of the Ring. I mean, and I got the Percy face off. It's driving me crazy. What's sad is it's coming back later, so I got to just deal with it. But yeah, everybody will always remember King of the Ring in Pittsburgh for Hell in a Cell. There's no way to dance around that. But everything you said about this match is what makes it here. First, it's Kane's moment, whether it's Vince pulling the strings or not, whether it's Taker swinging the chair or not. Kane walks out of there with the big eagle. He's the world champion, even if it's for a day. But yeah, the fact that Mick Foley hobbled, there's genuine limping and hobbling down that walkway. The fact that he was able to do that, somehow get in the ring, take another chair-to-chair shot to the head. Jesus Christ, Mick, stop. Oh, Lord.
And we wonder why he became the guy to pull a sock out of his tights.
Right? And then Undertaker, like I said, in sweats. He's not even in the freaking 98 Taker gimmick. He's walking down the ramp in sweats because he's like, I'm fucking busted up too. this match, the storytelling, and that's the thing. People sleep on, we're doing a top 10. They must be great technical matches. No. When it comes to Kane and Undertaker and people like that, it's all about story. This entire night is a story.
Oh yeah.
I mean, when you think about it, you've got the King of the Ring tournament, you've got Hell in a Cell, you've got the First Blood, you've got Sable's return after she lost her career at Over the Edge, having to be subservient to Vince. I'll never forget freaking Sable walking in there, introducing Vince and then trying to walk out, and Pat gives her a little pat on the butt, and she goes, "Whap! Hell with that." So having Pat Patterson pat on the butt's like, stay in your lane, Pat. Love you, Pat, but come on. So the whole night's a story, and this is the culmination. We have the demonic brother, the Undertaker, because of what the Undertaker did, and we're left going, what happened there? Kane's world champion. Great stuff. My number 5 surprisingly didn't make your list, and I think it's because he lost the match, is my guess. This is one of the ones that makes it because it's a technical masterpiece. WrestleMania 18 against Kurt Angle. And when you think about that, Kurt Angle had debuted at WrestleMania losing 2 titles in 2 falls without actually losing the fall. And then he went the following year and beat Chris Benoit in what is one of the best technical matches in WrestleMania history, period. Fight me, I dare you. To this, which really stemmed from Kurt feeling that Kane cost him the number 1 contendership that he basically stole from Hunter at No Way Out with Stephanie's help. So the story's but the match is actually pretty good. This is one of those things, rare Kane things, where the match is better than the story. Because and
I think that may be why it didn't make my list, is because I didn't remember the story behind it.
And the thing with the story, again, people tend to either love or hate WrestleMania 18. Other than the Rock Hogan match, and I'll even give a little bit of love to the Austin Hall build, and match placement was shitty on that. Well, Steve will die on that hill forever. But other than the NWO matches, this build-ups to these matches at WrestleMania, and also give a little love to Undertaker Ric Flair, because that was damn good. And it started right away. Like, it was good. So those 3 matches out of an entire WrestleMania card, and your main event is primarily the world champion being the boss's daughter's bitch and picking up their dog's poop. Like, that's Jericho's role at WrestleMania. So I tend to like, okay, Hulk had his moment. Cool. The NWO had their moment. Cool. I tend to kind of like about WrestleMania 18, like, okay, sure. This match is one of those where, again, story is weak sauce. The match is good, and Kurt has to cheat to win. It's just the freaking womp-ass roll-up. They call Cena wacky roll-up guy. That's kind of what Kurt did here. Little hold the tights off you. And Kane is so emotionally like, oh, he cheated. It's like, dude, you're the devil's favorite. You're the devil's favorite demon. Go back there and set him on fire. Shut the fuck up, Kane. Quit your bitching. Shut up. Quit being human. Oh wait, it's not time yet. No, you got another year. So number 4, again. Not surprised. Surprised it didn't make the list, but again, you like you said, you've been more of a story guy for this show than a match. But the implications, when I talked about my number 9, it all starts right here. Money in the Bank ladder match, SmackDown's Money in the Bank ladder match, 2010, at the first Money in the Bank pay-per-view. Kane defeating all of these. When you look back now in 2021. Legendary guys.
Yeah.
At the time, it's kind of a hodgepodge of what the hell. But, Christian, Kofi, Big Show, baby-faced but chosen one heel, Drew McIntyre, who's got
God,
more
I missed
on
that,
his
Drew.
who maybe has more hair in his ass at this point than anywhere else, because goddamn it, he's freaking he's a wax figure in this picture. Dolph Ziggler, who had not even been world champion himself yet either. Cody Rhodes, who wouldn't get past pretty much this level in WWE, which is bogus, and Matt Hardy, another one who goes back and forth between being the best thing in the business and an afterthought. Kane walked in on a mission. I was going to avenge my brother. He was attacked in Royal Bay. I'm going to be the Money in the Bank winner and become the world champion. And he did it. He was the first to cash in on the same night. And it was a great story the whole night. He wins Money in the Bank. He walks out with that devilish grin on his face. Mysterio has a match, I believe, with... I forget who Mysterio defended the title against that night, so I apologize. But Ray's attack post-match. Kane comes out to save, who had been his little buddy for a while there. Chases the guy to the back, and then the music hits again, and he walks out, briefcase like, you're not done yet, Ray. Takes out Mysterio, which, again, for me, I'm okay with. New world champion. I was still very much he poached Eddie's push. It pissed me off. It still does to this day. But Kane walked out the world champion, and little do we know where this is going to go between then and SummerSlam and then after SummerSlam. But man, hell of a start. Number 3, again, is not on your list, and I get it because there almost is no story really with this at all. And this is purely he's my buddy, so he makes my list. The Acolytes losing the tag titles to the oddest of odd couples, the cast aside by the Ministry and the Corporation Kane, and freshly turned on by Triple H, X-Pac. You talk about a team that shouldn't have done any damn thing except implode immediately. And these guys had a solid year together almost. They only imploded because X-Pac couldn't keep his yoo-hoo in his pants around Kane's girlfriend. Really. So, but yeah, this is where, like you said, this is going to be here, let me put the banner up right now because I'm probably going to get major shit for this, but that's okay. This is the point where Kane's humanity starts to damn near ruin him.
Yep.
Because he's being jovial, he's saying suck it, and it only happens that once X-Pac turns on him and then his girl turns on him the following year, it takes Papa Bear coming back and going, dude, what the hell, Glenn? And again, change of attire, which looked cool at WrestleMania for me. That was cool to see. WrestleMania Pyro literally knocked me on my ass. No shit. I was on my feet cheering for Rikishi. Explosion, and I fell in the aisle. If there was a camera on me, I would have probably been redder than this shirt. Oh my God, Jay. Oh my God. But even then, Percy only stuck around for a little bit. But then in the summer, when the Triple H Rock thing took about 5 years to do 2 months during that year 2000, Undertaker came back at Judgment Day, and then Kane was involved in the storyline, and then they turned on each other again. Kane went to a no contest at SummerSlam 2000 because his mask got partially torn off and he ran away. What?
Mm-hmm.
And then the following year at Royal Rumble, they get back together. And that whole year went, we already talked about that. This is where it starts. Like you said, dude, I completely co-sign on Kane's humanity being brought out of him by X-Pac initially, and as it went on, it got worse with all his partners. But to WWE's writers, I'm going to assume it's a girl, because Brian's a man. Kane's promo after Survivor Series 2003, where he talked about The Undertaker being a human, one of you, and that I allowed myself to become one of you too. It's like, damn, dude, he's waxing proxy here, poetic here. He's right. they both allowed themselves to become way too human.
Mm-hmm.
That's why WrestleMania 20 for me is my. It's not on my list for the record, but it's my ultimate Undertaker Kane moment because it's both of them back in the ring the way they should be. Monsters fighting to the death almost. It's so good. Auto mention number one for sure.
Definitely, definitely. And hindsight being what it is, you go back over the grand scheme of things and you realize how much this match and this moment really started to hurt the career of Kane.
Right.
Because as we said, the humanization.
Yep.
Back then in the moment,
yeah,
being where I was in the business, X-Pac was my favorite degenerate.
Right.
Watching Kane go from the gimmick voice box to being told to put it down and to speak and saying suck it for the first time on the microphone without his gimmick.
Yeah.
Dude, I still pop hard for that scene.
Oh, I do too. I 100% do. Yes.
But this was the beginning of the end of the monster for at least 2 to 3 years.
Yeah. It took, ironically, Hunter and his new stable and General Manager Bischoff to bring out the monster again. However, now that I've shit all over Kane between 99 and 2003.
Well, and then again, it's funny because then after the Bryan thing, he got humanized.
Yes, he did.
And it took Stephanie and the Authority to turn him back into the monster again. So once again, by proxy, Hunter to the rescue.
I will partially agree with you on Monster Authority Kane. The thing is, though, the whole back and forth thing was kind of stupid.
Right, but you think it's kind of stupid, and I'll agree with you to an extent, but I kind of found it funny that, when he wrestled, he'd be the Monster Kane. Right. But when he was out there being an authority figure, it's Glenn.
Right. Yeah. And when you think about the fact that Glenn's now the real mayor of a real city, it's like, this is weird. Now, again, we just spent about 10 minutes shitting on between 99 and 03, but there is one match and one night where that Kane, the Monster Kane that we all missed, started to emerge. And it's a very popular event that takes place every January. And in 2001, there was no more dominant figure in the Royal Rumble match than Kane. And I picked this picture on purpose.
I knew it. I love the fact that you used the Drew Carey image.
Of course I did. Are you kidding me? Dude, seriously, if I could get Adams Lauren at the 88 and go back in time, I would put so much money in Drew Carey's pocket. Please let Kane chokeslam you for real. Goodbye. No more Drew. Goodbye, Drew. Bye. And then I can always prices right now. Damn it. Anyway, Kane in 2001 in the Royal Rumble match set a record that only got broken 13 years later because Vince had a new golden boy he wanted to play with in the ring named Roman Reigns. If Roman Reigns is in that Rumble match, I say that record still stands now. I mean, really. Because think about it, Roman broke the record, and then Strowman broke his record. So just kind of, so a record stands for almost a decade and a half, and now it's been broken twice. Like, huh? Yeah. It's Kane's defining moment as far as a single, other than championships, obviously. And I dare say it's one of the Royal Rumble matches defining performances. So when you think about it, Kane only lost that Rumble match after a stunner and 3 chair shots to the head from Stone Cold Steve Austin. Otherwise, we're seeing Kane against The Rock in the Astrodome. I mean, really. they're not going to book it, obviously. I'm just...
Right. I mean, clearly at that point in time, they weren't going to book it, but by all rights, Kane deserved to win that match with his performance.
Absolutely.
They could have done something with Austin and Kane at No Way Out where Kane lost his shot, but Kane deserved to walk out of there having won the Rumble.
Yeah. I mean, when you think about the Hall of Famers that Kane took out in that match, I mean, Honky Tonk Man and Drew Carey and oh yeah, the other guys they took out too. Yeah, I'm joking. But yeah, the 2001 Rumble is probably my favorite Rumble and will remain there until something really drastic happens. And primarily because of Kane.
Yeah.
All right.
For me, when it comes to the Rumble, it's between that one and the 98 Rumble because of the three faces of Foley in the same match.
Which is so good. Like, and when you think about how beat up Mick's body was even then, to be in almost the entire match, dude, good on him in 98. Holy shit. You know. All right. Number one, ironically, is from 1998. I almost didn't choose this one because he loses. And it's like, I don't want to pick a losing effort necessarily, but it is the defining start to the greatest story in WWE history. So I can't not have it be my number one. WrestleMania 14 against The Undertaker. It only isn't the greatest match that night because Shawn Michaels pulled off what the hell he pulled off. I mean, Shawn's back. He shouldn't have been walking.
Yeah.
Let alone doing what the hell he was doing in Boston that night. But these two guys having to be the semi-main for, let's be real, the biggest WrestleMania main event in history up to that point. Because when you think about it, yes, Hogan Andre was Hogan Andre, Hogan Warrior, Hogan Savage, you know, all those WrestleManias before that. This was when the WWF was finally starting to tell WCW, screw this. You know, we're taking our spot back. And this WrestleMania will go down as the defining turning point in the war. Because 2 weeks later, Austin McMahon are in the ring and the ratings tell the story. But this match, having to be semi-main, had a daunting task ahead of itself and delivered.
Oh, yeah.
Hands down, above and beyond. 3 tombstones to put Kane down, and he still got up and whooped his ass with a chair afterwards and left Undertaker the victor lane in the middle of the ring. Yes, he got up. Yes, his music played. Yes, he walked out. But it was Kane who walked out first after he left his big brother laying in a heap.
Yeah.
So, you know, when I think of that match, I think of that moment where Undertaker's he kind of set up like was like reaching toward the rope, like all like half-assed or whatever. That's what I think of, not the big moment with all the pyro and the storm thing for Undertaker's entrance, and not even for Pete Rose. I think of that moment where Undertaker's like sitting up like, man, I won that match, but shit. But yeah, again, Pete's in this, and I love Pete. But yeah, the moment for me is the afterthought. Yeah, it takes 3 to put him down, and he still jumped right back up.
Yeah. So
yeah, Kane's persona, the monster, the demon, whatever you want to call him, he is. It could be argued. I'm not going to say that I believe it to be so as I say it, but the argument could be there that he is the greatest all-around WWE performer in history.
That's a bold statement, but it would be hard-pressed to argue that when you consider, stories and gimmick and match quality.
And Glenn Jacobs has the most matches by a male in the company history. There's only one person of either gender that has the top of the list, and that'd be your girl, which I found out this last week. I'm like, she's had more matches in the company than anybody, going back to 1963. Natty's the most prolific performer in WWE history. It's like, whoa. Because she's good, and we know it, and she knows it, it just seems like the man with the pencil doesn't seem to know it. And it's very freaking irritating, but that's another show for another time.
Yes.
In the meantime, what do you guys think? Did we go so far into the weeds that you turned us off a half hour ago? Which I don't blame you. That's cool. Did you guys agree with placement? Did you guys agree with where we put matches? Did we miss a match and like completely glaze over something? Let us know over there, because if you're watching live on a Friday the 14th, we bless you. We appreciate you. And it's not Friday the 13th, so you don't have to be scared about watching the Kane video on Friday the 13th, because that's not the case this month. Thank goodness. That was almost really bad, because Friday the 13th for the Kane video, that would have been like a double, oh shit, don't touch the computer screen. But let us know if you're watching afterwards down below, of course, as always. While you're there looking, at the comment board there, that little ticker is your friend, and the little ticker is definitely my friend. So please help us out over at that thing that says down there. In 2 weeks, man, we are just cooking with gas on this show, brother. I'll tell you what, we're going to wrap up May with, well, that's Memorial Day weekend. So what better topic than with the start of Memorial Day weekend and the start of the summer blockbuster season. It's top 10 summer blockbusters. Wait a second, Jeff. I don't understand what that means. What constitutes summer blockbuster? Uncle Jay?
Well, the way we defined a summer blockbuster, because there's so many ways you can look at it. But our personal definition of a summer blockbuster is that the movie had to come out between Memorial Day weekend and Labor Day weekend. It had to be number one for 2 weeks or more. It doesn't have to be consecutive, and it doesn't have to be at its release, because some movies get a slow start, but then that word of mouth starts to kick in, and then it goes from maybe debuting at 2 or 3 to climbing up to number one, just like some albums do. And it had to make at least double its budget back. Now, a good chunk of the movies that I've picked, and I don't know about your research, but a good chunk of the movies I've picked tripled, quadrupled, and then some, exponentially did better.
Yes.
And I'm sure if some of them were adjusted to inflation in 2020 money, it would be even more than what it appears on paper as it is. But those are our main qualifications. So, Memorial Day weekend through Labor Day weekend. Number one at the box office for 2 weeks or more. Double its budget back or more. Those are the three main criterias that we are looking at.
And I did check with Jay when we were making our list, because I had a couple of movies that came out near the end of May, which they considered in the grand scheme Memorial Day era release, and he went, no, has to be the Friday before Memorial Day and after. Bitch. So I mean, I lost 2 Star Wars movies on that list. I was like, crap. So
I made sure to check very carefully. I went to a website that had like 100 great summer blockbusters, whatever.
Right.
Then I just started scrolling through them all. I went by movies I had seen, movies I loved, movies with repeat watch value, and then I would go to Wikipedia and I would look at the date of its release. Then I would Google a calendar for that year and see when Memorial Day was that year.
Yep.
And did it qualify? And unfortunately, the Star Wars films do not qualify. They do. Most of them came out in May, and some of them came out very close, like the weekend before Memorial Day weekend.
Yep.
But they don't fit our timeline of criteria. So, spoiler alert, Neither one of us have Star Wars on our list.
You know what's some shit? And I actually did. I checked and double and triple checked. The longest running movie in the history of cinema premiered during the timeline, but because it was such a slow starter, Rocky Horror. It was never number one. It never has been number one. It's been running for freaking 568 years, but it's never been number one at the box office because it was such a cult train wreck.
Yeah.
Like, damn it. So, all right. And then once we get away from the summer blockbusters, kinda, because honestly, the next 4 shows, June, July wise, they're very much movie and movie star level centric. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Because in June, we've got the greatest matches in the career of Steve Austin. And again, we're still debating on if it's going to be Stone Cold only or Steve overall. We're still working out that kink. The late June show, the non-wrestling show, the top 10 all-time live-action movies in the umbrella of Walt Disney Studios motion pictures. Uncle G, what does that mean?
That means any movie that was produced by Walt Disney Studios or its subsidiaries, so Touchstone Pictures, Hollywood Pictures, Miramax, which they acquired in 1993 and then held on to 2010. Any of those type of films are fair game. We don't count libraries that they have purchased, like they now bought the 20th Century Fox library. So again, Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, Rocky Horror Picture Show, none of those meet the criteria to make our list. The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker, Rogue One, Solo, those qualify if we so choose,
right,
because those were made by Disney once they acquired the Star Wars property,
right,
which they acquired prior to the 20th Century Fox property.
Right, yeah. And
Muppets.
I was going to say, yeah,
you
Muppets
know,
also.
I love me my Muppets. We all know this. But the Muppet movie, The Great Muppet Caper, The Muppets Take Manhattan, none of those qualify. We do, however, count the 2011 Muppets and Muppets Most Wanted because those were made by Disney once they had acquired the property. We also count Muppet Christmas Carol, Muppet Treasure Island, because those were distributed by Disney in conjunction with the Henson Company. They came in those great big clunky clamshells back in the day, which kind of helped define a Disney movie.
Right. And we did not count Muppets from Space because we're not insane. So let's just move on from that.
Plus, it's a Sony Columbia release. It's one of the few films that they still do not have the rights with, but are in negotiations with Sony to bring not only the Maguire Garfield Spider-Mans to Disney Plus,
right,
but in the deal they would also get Muppets Take Manhattan, Muppets from Space, and Kermit's the Swamp Years, if anybody cares about that one.
Yes,
very few people do.
One. Yeah.
But those three, which are owned by Columbia TriStar / Sony, would be included in that deal and could help make the Muppets collection hub complete, at least as far as feature films.
Right. And then we get in July. And July, if you're a wrestling fan, July, you know where I'm going, because even though it's been 25 years, they said it back then, I say it now, it's for life. The top 10 NWO moments. And yes, I realize it's on July 9th. Please don't tell Vince Russo I gave him any press whatsoever. For the love of God. Jesus Christ. And then July 23rd, Uncle Jay takes me to school. Because I don't know this shit a whole lot, except what I've seen in cartoons as a kid. I still haven't watched all the movies yet because I'm a lame ass. July 23rd, our non-wrestling show for July will be the top 10 all-time Marvel heroes. I didn't realize they were more than 10 in the first place. I'm going, damn, here we go.
Oh, Jeebus, yes.
Yeah.
There's so many to choose from. That is going to be difficult.
Yes.
That's going to be so difficult. I'm going to have to dig into the archives and do some research.
And figure not just the movies. So, yeah, it's a heavy show. That may be a two-parter. I'm not going to lie, or a two video show. And then we get to the rest of the year. We've got the greatest celebrity matches from the history of wrestling. We've got songs that tell a story. We've got the worst champions in history, and so much more coming up. Again, this is about a Kane show, so it's very much a Stat Boy-centric show because Kane debuted on Stat Boy's birthday 24 years ago, which makes Mikey almost 45. There you go. I love that you guys put up with our crap for an hour and 41 minutes here. I love it. I really do. And please check out the other shows on our channel and, of course, JJ's channel, which if we're in the month of May, JJ's still doing his sci-fi stuff. We're already getting toward the end of the Star Wars stuff and heading into Rick Moranis and Gene Roddenberry land, which I love that part of sci-fi too, brother. So it's going to be a good rest of the month.
Definitely.
So, and again, of course, check out the Greg Cherry Show on Wednesdays. Check out Talk Wrestling on Mondays. If Stat Boy is still doing the show, right, because his work schedule's crazy, we appreciate it. But please, I know I sound like I'm begging, and I actually am. We need that to be handled because the YouTube stuff doesn't come right away. And as great as equipment's been with the new hookup I've had here, it still gets a little splashy at times. We had to restart a couple times today. So please donate what you can. Every little bit helps. Please buy our merchandise. That helps put money in Greg Cherry's pocket, which gets him designing more things for us, which we all love him doing that. So thank you, Greg. And JJ, I'll tell you what, brother. I'm going to go ahead and let my voice calm down, and please take us on home.
All right. So, like Jeff said, thank you guys for tuning in and enduring our hashtag shenanigans for easily an hour and a half plus once we edit some of this down. But, for the West Coast professor, Jeff Meacham. There you go. I am the Renegade JJ Williams. We are the dads this week on wrestling, and we will see you in 2 weeks right here on the Jeff Meacham Network with our top 10 summer blockbusters. We will see you then.